Hi everybody, this is Derek from the Ada Community Library Victory Branch, and welcome to our first week of CoderDojo. And this is where we are going to learn to do some basic computer coding. So welcome and thanks for joining us. And I'm going to go ahead and have you download a little bit of software that we're going to need to do our projects. So let's go ahead and have you on your computer, go to this website to download a program called Scratch. So you'll want to type in scratch.mit.edu, and once you get over to that page, you should see this screen here. And what we're going to want to do is, assuming you haven't used Scratch before, we're going to want to create a free account. And you do that by going up here to Join Scratch. And this is where you can create a username and password and create your free account. And the reason you want to do this is so that when you're doing your work and your projects, you have a place where they will be saved. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and pause this video now, you can do that and set up your account, and then we'll get started here in a minute. Okay, so next up is we're going to do a little orientation in Scratch. And what you're going to want to do, excuse me, there is go to the Scratch main page at scratch.mit.edu, and we're going to go ahead and sign in now by going up to the right hand corner and signing in with your username and password that you should have just set up. Okay. Okay, and once you sign in, you should see a screen that looks something like this. And we're going to go ahead and do a quick orientation, and go ahead and on the main blue menu here, we're going to go up to Create. And the next screen will show us our development environment for our Scratch projects. Okay, so we'll just do a quick overview here. Now, I'm going from left to right on the screen. Over here on the left-hand side, we have three tabs: Code, Costumes, and Sounds. And the Code tab shows us all the different blocks of code that we'll be using in our projects. Okay, if you click on those buttons, you'll see lots of code to choose from. And the idea when we're doing our coding, to get the code to actually work, we're going to drag and drop the code blocks there in the middle portion of the screen. And then over here on the right side of the screen, on the stage where the cat is, Scratchy is his name, that's where our sprites, that we're going to call them, will do whatever we've coded them to do. For example, this block says move 10 steps. Go ahead and click on move 10 steps. It's anywhere around in the block, and you should see something happening with Scratchy there. You should actually be moving. Okay, so that's the idea of how the coding works. And let's go ahead and go back over here to the left side of the screen, and we're going to click on the Costumes tab this time. And Costumes is a place where we can do edits to our sprites. Sprites are the different objects and could be people, things that are in our Scratch projects, like Scratchy. Now in here we can make modifications or create custom sprites. For example, if you click here on the Fill tool, what's going to happen here is you can actually fill Scratchy with different colors. And up here in the left corner under Fill, you can see here this is the place where you're going to choose different colors. Okay, so that's how that works. And there's quite a bit more in the Costumes tab, but we're going to move on for now. The next tab over, Sounds, is where we're going to have our sound files that we can add to our projects. This one here, preloaded, is a meow. So go ahead and click on that little blue button underneath the purple area. And you should hear a little cat sound. So that's just one example of many other sounds that you can use in Scratch. If you look down here in the lower left corner where there's a little speaker symbol, you click on that one, it will load your sound library. And this is a place where you can choose other cool sounds and effects, even music. Okay, so we'll go ahead and let's back out of there. That's a fun place to explore, but we're going to continue on here. And we're going to go back over to the Code tab and back out to our main screen. And we're going to look at a couple more things. Now, on the right side of the screen here, underneath Scratchy, we have a couple things. Now, down below, you're going to see a small Scratchy and a little square box there. And this is the area where all of our sprites will be kept. Kind of keeps a running total of our sprites and allows us to select those sprites when we want to add code to them. So I keep talking about sprites, and the place to find more is to go over here under the Choose a Sprite icon. And in here, you can find all kinds of different people and objects and even animals to choose from. Okay, so also very fun and cool to explore. Let's go ahead and click back out of there. And one other thing that's pretty important is the stage down here in the right corner. And right now, the stage is referring actually to the background over here. And right now, we have a white background. Let's say we want to put Scratchy in a different kind of environment. So go ahead and click on Choose a Backdrop. And from here, you can see there's lots of ways to go with this. Okay, so it's summer right now, so we could choose a beach backdrop for Scratchy, and you could have some fun at the beach, and there's plenty more. Okay, so there are lots of other tools down here in this area, but for now, I think that is a good introduction to the development environment here, and we can go ahead and take the next step forward here for this week's project. So what we're going to want to do now is navigate over to this web page for our project this week, which is titled Tech Toys. Okay, so go ahead and if you want to pause this video again and then take the time to type in or write down this web address, and then we want to get over to this web page for the next step in today's project. Okay, so getting back to that website, that next web address that I had listed, this should take you over to this Tech Toys page on the Raspberry Pi website. Raspberry Pi is an organization that provides all the curriculum for CoderDojo. So for this project, we're going to be doing the same thing that we see down here with the boy and the girl, the helicopter, and so on. So let's go ahead and see how this project works or what it does. Go ahead and click on the green flag there right above them, and that's going to start the program, and then you can start clicking around. You can try her glasses. You should see some colors. We can click on his bow tie. And you should be able to hear and see some action from the bow tie there. The computer laptop down here makes some sound and also gets the helicopter going over there in the corner. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit the stop for that, and let's download some files, some graphic files that we need to create that project there. So go down to the What You Will Need box, and under Downloads, we're going to want to go to the Starter Project Download, which says it's found here. So go ahead and click on that, and you should see a download, something on your computer screen there at home, indicating that your download happened for this link here. And again, these are some graphic files for this project. Okay, so once you've confirmed, if you need to, go to the download screen or window on your computer and make sure you have a folder labeled Tech Toys EN Resources. Again, it's Tech Toys EN Resources is the name of the folder. You just make sure you have that on your computer, download it to your computer. And then what we're going to want to do is hop back over to our Scratch website. All right. Now, right now we have this example screen here, which we don't need. So we can just go up here in the main menu to File, and then from the drop-down menu, we're going to want to choose Load from your computer. Okay, so from here, you're going to want to navigate around to your downloads, and you're probably going to see that folder. And if you see it and the folder has a little zipper graphic on the folder itself, that means you're going to want to open the folder up to get the files unpacked from there. Okay. Now mine is actually over on the desktop, and mine is actually techtoysresources.sb3, and that's the file that you're going to want to select and click Open to. All right, so from here, it should show a message, replace contents of the current project, and that just means we're going to get rid of what we're seeing here on the screen, so you can click OK. And then you should see, cool, all of the graphics for our project. So this project isn't done yet. Look there in the middle. There's no coding blocks, all right? So we have the graphics, but nothing's going to happen when we click over here. So it's time to get coding. All right, so first thing we'll work on is the bow tie. Now, if we scroll down here a bit, on the left right corner, we can see our sprites, and we're going to want to look for the bow tie sprite, and you should see it down there. Okay, so give it a single click so that it's highlighted in blue, and the box is highlighted in blue, that is. And what that means is that when we drag and drop the blocks of code, it's going to go to that bow tie. All right, so we're going to go over here and get started on our coding, and I'm going to scroll up a bit, and then we're going to go back over here to the Code tab, and we're going to start by going to the Events tab, or rather the Events section and those blocks. So what we're going to want to do is look for when this sprite clicked, all right? And we're going to drag that over there. And then that bow tie was moving from what I remember. So we're going to want to go over here to the motion blocks. And we're going to look for the ones that have turn and an arrow. That first one has a turn arrow 15 degrees. So go ahead and click that and put that over there. And let's go ahead and click right on the block and let's see what happens. Okay, and you can click on the bow tie itself and same effect. It should be moving, okay? So that code is working with that sprite. Now, that's a lot of clicking, and before I think we just did one click and it did a lot more turning. So to get this to work a little bit better for us and look a little bit cooler, we're going to go back over here to the control blocks, and we're going to choose a block of code that is repeat. Okay, and it says repeat 10. So go ahead and drag that on over, and we're going to put that underneath when this sprite is clicked, and then we're going to put the turn 15 degrees block inside the repeat. So now when we click on it, it should turn 15 degrees 10 times in a row. So let's go ahead and click on that and see what happens. Okay. So you'll notice his bow tie is turning a little bit more than before, but still not quite what we saw originally. Now, if you want to straighten out that bow tie quickly, we can go over here to the motion blocks, and we can actually choose or click on the point in direction 90, and that will straighten out his bow tie. Did you see how that happened? Okay. Again, it was the point in direction block. We just clicked right on the block to straighten out his bow tie. Now, what we can do to get that bow tie to spin a little bit more is change the numbers here. So right now we have it repeating 10 times and it's turning 15 degrees 10 times in a row. So let's change that number to, let's say, 36. All right, and let's go ahead and click on it and see what happens. So now you should see his bow tie do a complete circle there, a complete 360-degree circle, because we are doing 36-degree turn 10 times, which adds up to 360 degrees, a full circle. So you can play those numbers if you want to change it, but I think you get the idea on there, so we're going to go ahead and move on. So let's go ahead and look at the sunglasses. Now these sprites have names, and Devin is the name of the boy, and Alex is the name of the girl. So let's go over here and click on Alex, or rather let's click on her sunglasses, which is right over here underneath the sprite button. Okay, so the sunglasses sprite, you should have selected that, and then we can start coding. All right, so for the sunglasses, we'll want to go over to the looks blocks and look for one that is change color effect. And once you find that, go ahead and click and drag that over. And if you want, for fun, you can click on it now, and cool. It should already be working. You see her glasses changing colors. All right. And those glasses are a sprite too. Oops. So you're right if you're thinking we need to have a when this sprite clicked block. So go ahead and get one of those on there, just like the bow tie. Okay, and then we can go ahead and run our program. So just for good habit, we want to go up here to the green flag for go to start our program, and that means that all of the code is active and everything's active on the stage there, and we can start clicking. So now if we click on her glasses, we should see some change of color. So if you want to change the colors, the range of colors, you can change that number 25 in there and play around with that. If you want to do multiple colors changing, you can use the repeat block and put that right in there and try that, and then you should get a little bit more dynamic color changes going on there. Okay, and if you're done testing out your bow tie and the glasses for now, we can go ahead and click the stop And that is pretty much all we need to do for those two sprite items. So let's go ahead and move over, and we're going to do a collaborative thing that's going to have the laptop and the helicopter interact with one another through coding here that we're going to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and we need to select a different sprite now from our sprite boxes down here, sprites in the boxes. And let's go ahead and find laptop sprite and click on that one so it's highlighted in blue. And now what we're going to do is code this computer so it makes some sounds. So we're going to go over here to the sound blocks, and we're going to choose the start sound block of code. And then we're going to go to events, and we're going to get a when this sprite clicked block there. And we go ahead and click on it, see what happens. See, click on the code and it makes a computer beeping sound. If you click the green arrow and click the laptop, you should get that sound also. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to code the computer so that it controls something that the helicopter does when you click on it. So what we're going to want to do is go over here and choose a different block of code, and it is called broadcast. So it's going to be under the events blocks here. Oops, looks like I clicked on the wrong thing. Let me get out of there. Okay, so we're going to go to when, or rather broadcast, and it says message 1 right now. We're going to actually change that. We'll go ahead and choose broadcast message 1. And what this broadcast term means is that the laptop is going to broadcast a message out to one of the other sprites. So go ahead and click on message 1 and you should see a drop down menu, and we're going to choose new message. Okay, and this is just helping us identify what our message is going to be, or remember what the message is for. So you can type any message name you want, but for this project I would recommend just the message name of start. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the helicopter now. Go ahead and scroll down and look for the helicopter sprite down below, and click on the helicopter sprite there, highlighted in blue, and then we're going to take a little look at something that was not really talked about before. We're going to go up to the costumes tab here on the left, and if you look up on the left corner, there are actually two helicopters here. So this is how we get the animation effect in our project when we click on the computer. And again, costumes refers to different pictures of your sprite. So let's go ahead and now that we see that, go back to the code tab and make sure your helicopter is still highlighted down there in the lower right corner. And then we're going to go back up to our code that we started. And actually there isn't any code on here, so let's go ahead and get that on the helicopter. So we will want to look for under the events blocks of code here, we're going to want to choose when I receive start, and go ahead and click and drag on that. Okay, and then we're going to go over here to the looks blocks, and we're going to check and select next costume. Okay, so when you click on that next costume, you should see the helicopter rotors look like they're moving around a little bit there on the stage, on the helicopter on the stage. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is put in one other block of code so that we don't have to keep clicking on the rotors to make them move on the helicopter, so that they will continue to move on their own. So to do that, we're going to want to go over to the control blocks, and we're going to want to choose a block that's named forever, okay? And so you're going to want to put the next costume block inside the forever block. And let's go ahead and read what these code blocks say. So reading from the top down, when I receive start, that means when the helicopter receives that message from the computer, start, it's going to go to that next costume. So let's go ahead and click on that. And now you should see the helicopter's rotors are continuously moving there. So it's doing what we want it to do. Now it's working right now because we clicked right on the code's block, but ideally we want it to work when we click on the computer laptop. So let's try that now. Go ahead and click on the green flag right above the stage, and then let's click on the computer laptop. And the computer laptop makes it sound, and then it also triggers the helicopter to start its rotors moving there. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do a little bit more here before we call it a day. And let's go ahead and make sure the helicopter is selected. And down below there, it should still be selected from before. And now what we're going to do is, I don't know if you remember in our example when we were testing this project out, the finished project, we were able to fly that helicopter around a bit by touching on the 4 arrow keys on our computer keyboard. So let's go ahead and code this helicopter so it does the same thing. So going over to the blocks, we're going to want to go over to the events blocks and look for when space key pressed. And go ahead and drag that. And the space key is actually referring to that biggest key on your actual computer keyboard. So when you tap on that space bar, we're going to have something happen. So go ahead and we're going to go over to the blue motion blocks, and we're going to choose a block so that the helicopter will go up or vertical when we click on the space bar. So to do that, we're going to want to choose change Y by here. So find change Y by, and right now it says 10. We're going to change that number. Number can be whatever you want, but we're going to do a lower number so the helicopter doesn't go too far up on us. And let's go ahead and run our program. Go ahead and click the green flag and then tap the space bar on your computer keyboard. And you can either tap on it or hold down on it. You should see that helicopter. Careful so you don't lose it. It'll keep going if you keep tapping on it. All right. And so the space bar has a helicopter going up vertically. So the change Y, the Y is actually referring to an imaginary axis here. If you can picture a cross, if you will, one line going from top to bottom and from left to right, 2 lines, that's an axis, all right? And the Y is referring to the line or axis that's going upright. So when it says change Y, it's saying it wants to change what the helicopter is doing when it's going either up or down in a vertical direction. If you do Google for X and Y axis, you can learn more about what the X and Y axis is and how it works. I'm going to assume you haven't done that in school yet. If you have, it'll make a lot more sense. If not, just know that it refers to positioning your sprite on the stage there. Okay, so let's go ahead and we can do a little bit more coding, and we can control the helicopter with the 4 arrow keys on your keyboard, on your actual computer keyboard. So to do that, we can actually work with this code that we already have here, and we can click on the word space, and you should see a little menu appear. And here you can see up arrow, down arrow, right arrow, left arrow, and others. And these are all the keys on your computer keyboard. So we can choose up arrow, and that will do the same thing as the space bar. When you click on the up arrow key on your keyboard, your helicopter will go up. Now, what if you want it to go down? Pretty easy. Just choose another Win space key pressed, and then we're going to choose another change Y. And then we are going to change the number to -5, okay, -5. And again, this is referring to the X and Y axis that we cannot see, but is Scratch knows what that is. And I would recommend doing a quick Google search on X and Y axis just to get a little bit more explanation on how that works. It'll make a lot more sense when you're using those X and Y blocks of code. All right, and then we're going to want to have the helicopter go down vertically, go downwards. So we're going to choose right, or rather, when down arrow key press, change Y by -5 or -5. So let's go ahead and click the green flag and try out your down arrow. Okay, and you should get a similar thing going, but in the opposite direction there. Okay. So if you want your helicopter to go left and right, I'm going to leave it up to you. You can actually code those for your left arrow and your right arrow, doing the same method we just did with these first 2 arrows. And I think for the sake of time, we'll go ahead and pass on that for now. And you can code that on your own. And that's pretty much it. I think I'm going to leave it at that for now. We've covered most of today's lesson, and we got everything going in our Scratch project. Alexis, we got her glasses changing colors, and Devin, we got his bow tie moving. And now there was a sound effect when his bow tie was moving before. So that's another thing that you could add to your project here. To do that, you'd want to go to the bow tie sprite, and you'd want to add something from the sound files into this code here whenever you click on that bow tie to get a sound. And I'll leave the rest up to you on that one. What else we got? Laptop making its sounds, its little computer beeps, and we got it triggering, broadcasting a message for the helicopter to start doing its thing, changing the costumes and getting the animated effect. And we also coded 2 of the arrows to get the helicopter to move up and down vertically on the stage. Okay. So I think we will call it a day, and we covered quite a bit. And This project is automatically going to be saved to your Scratch account. Now, one other thing I'd like to just remind you or show you for good housekeeping, good habit to get into is always save your work. And up here above the code blocks in this field, it should say Tech Toys Resources or something like that. That's a default name for your project. Now, if you want, you can edit that and name it whatever you want. I'm going to change mine to Tech Toys Derek, so I remember it's my project. And you can hit the enter key when you're done, and that just, again, names your file and saves it to your Scratch account. If you go over here to the right side of the main menu, you should see a little folder symbol. If you click on that, you should see your different projects, your different Scratch projects. And as you can see, I have a bunch in there. Okay. Okay, so great. So I would like to go ahead and wrap up right now with you guys. And thanks for coming today and checking out Scratch. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a few things. And that's a lot that we covered. So if you didn't understand it all or I went too fast, just it's okay. There's a lot to take in there, and we took in. I put out quite a bit of information on this cool application Scratch. Next week we will be meeting again Tuesday at 2 p.m. The video will be posted on Ada Community Library's website, and you can join us again then for a new project. And if you have any questions or comments, you can reach me at my email address there on the screen, dramos@adalib.org. So thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed it and had fun, and we will see you next time. So have a great rest of your week.